So I went there in 1969, and that's when I graduated too. So everything kind of happened in that year. And then when I was out there, that's when Alcatraz occurred.
Yeah.
That's when they had, first it was like, I think maybe 14 natives that went out there on a canoe from the wharf, paddled out there and landed on Alcatraz at evening time and took the island over. They claimed that island for Indian America. And after that was, we kind of said, we claim this in the name of Native America, like Columbus did here. And then there was a lightkeeper out there taking care of the lighthouse. Well, surprised him, but he said pretty soon it was natives all over because they were coming out after that, covering the island. About probably 1,200 out there later. And the idea of Alcatraz was to occupy that island because there was a treaty, I think it was the Fort Laramie Treaty, that stated any unused federal facility could revert back to native use. And that's what they were using, is that treaty right.
Okay.
Use the island, and the island was unoccupied at that time, not being used. So they wanted to use it for a tribal college, a 4-year program that for Native studies, because it was only 2-year programs. It wasn't a 4-year program.
And was there an organization that was kind of
behind
it?
Well, different tribes. There was the American Indian movement, but Richard Oakes kind of developed that. He was a Pitt River Indian from California, activist. At that time, there's a lot of activity going on in that arena because you had the Vietnam War going on. Well, there was protests going on about every weekend in San Francisco somewhere. If you have a parade going on somewhere where you got to jump in there because they had Vietnam protests going on. The Black Panthers were being developed. Chicano power was happening. And Indian power kind of stepped into that arena too. So we gathered together. We started asserting our rights as natives. It was up in south, and that never happened. Now this was the first time that was a rebirth. So got out to the island, claimed that island, attempted to claim it for a treaty.
How many people were there at first?
I think, in the beginning it was only like 7 or 8 occupied. Then after they got the claim, planted a flag, and the rest came out in bigger boats.
And how did you hear about it? Just because of people in the community that you knew?
Yeah, Indian Center, Minneapolis Indian Center. I mean, Tucson, San Francisco Indian Center.
Okay.
Yeah. So, because up there, we're still, even though we go to different cities, we still find the natives anywhere at the Indian centers, and there's really one in every city. You can go there and find out what's going on in the Native community.
Yeah.
So I ended up at San Francisco, and they said there was going to be an occupation out of Alcatraz.
Yeah.
So I wasn't actually in the first group that occupied it. I came out there later on. Yeah. I was still studying.
How long after did you show up? After the first people got there?
What's that?
How long after did you show up after the first people?
I think about maybe the 3rd week.
Okay.
It was already full and everything. We had people set up. And they had a place you could stay. It was either in the 3rd tier of the prison.
Yeah.
The big house. So I got there, those were all open and you could pick any one you wanted. So I sit up on the 3rd tier in a cell. And then that was going on, but they had activities going on every day. And claiming this island for Indian country, and they had big signs out there. Indian country, do not private property. And of course, back at that time, we were pretty militant. So some non-natives would try to come out there and want to help, but we'd be throwing rocks at them as they try to come on island. Get out of here! This was Indian country.
Yeah.
Drive them away. We want to do this ourselves. And we're out there like. I was out there doing activities. I didn't stay there all the time. I'd go back and forth because they had a tugboat that was donated by Creedence Clearwater Revival Band.
Oh, yeah?
Donated a tugboat.
Really?
So that was our transportation from Fisherman's Wharf out to the island. Maybe 3 or 4 times a day they donated the boat.
That's cool.
That was used all the time from Fisherman's Wharf. Then we also had donations. The Alcatraz had donations coming in all the time from the city of San Francisco, people that were donating, support the occupation. So a tugboat, barge would be going out there maybe daily, bringing in food and clothing and whatever. We had plenty of support in that arena.
Yeah.
We wouldn't starve out there or whatever. So we stayed out there and did things. And then Richard Oakes, who was the leader at that time, was out there doing interviews and telling why this is happening and what the purpose was and the goal, because they had a matching, if they got it done, they would have a matching donation from the Rockefeller Foundation for $1 million to start it.
Really?
And since the facility was already there with all the buildings, it was pretty easy to renovate it and convert it to a college and all that. So that was the intent of it. And Richard Oakes was doing all this activism
Uh,
to promote the island's occupation.
so the
And
goal
then-
was to make it a college, though?
Yeah,
Okay.
tribal college. And he did all that. And he was actually injured when he was down at one of the bars because we drank. Back then, he did that. He was drinking in the bar and got in a fight and he got injured. Somebody threw a cue ball at his head, noggin.
Really?
So he was in a coma for about a couple of weeks.
Richard Oates?
Yeah.
This happened at the Alcatraz?
Well, it happened at a bar in San Francisco, one of the bars. That's where Indian congregate at the bars after we got done. So he got hit in the head and was actually hospitalized for a while in a coma. Then when he come out, he wasn't quite the same. But during that time, that's when John Trudell took over leadership. And,
Who is he?
John Trudell, he was a sort of a poet, native activism.
Okay.
I forget what tribe he was, Santee Indian or whatever. And he took it over. He was leader for a while. And, Richard Oakes was at one home for a while, that Pitt River Reservation. And he had the family, daughter and stuff. And then one of his daughters come running home one time and started crying because he said the farmer yelled at her and she was screaming. So he went out to confront that farmer. And that farmer shot him for trespassing on private property,
Really?
killed him.
Really?
So that's where he met his demise. So, and that was going on all the time. I know across, not just Indian America, because we were being killed off in cities. You ever notice during the occupation of the Wounded Knee, there was actually like 59 deaths there. Not connected to that event, but this previous going on before that historically. Unaccounted for. Nobody investigated. We show up dead. And that was pretty common in Indian country. And that's one of the reasons AIM started developing to do that protection. Then we went back to Alcatraz, stayed on the island, not all the time, but I'd be in and out, participating in the ceremony because they had sweats out there. They had a teepee set up, and they had kind of meetings and stuff like that going on to see what the next event would be.
Yeah.
So that went on for a while. And then, like I said, the interest in that started kind of swaying, going down. The people had to get back to their job, wherever it came from, and kids were coming back to college. Because a lot of the majority of those occupiers were from Berkeley, Native people. And they had to go back to college, obviously, quit, whatever. But they went back, so the population started dwindling at Alcatraz. And this kind of went on for all each month. So the interest just started going down. And after 14 months, I think there was only probably about maybe less than 100 people on the island.
Really?
And that's when the U.S. Marshals came out there with their rifles and everything and evicted everybody that was on the island, took them off, arrested some of them, took them off. But that was the end of that occupation.
Yeah.
But from that, in my opinion, from that first event of Alcatraz for 14 months, Indians started developing this attitude of we can do things. We did it, even though we didn't get it done, but we were doing it as a unit from all over the country because people came from all over.
All different tribes.
Different tribes are there to support. And I guess, to me, that was the awakening of a culture. We knew we could do more. So from that event, in my opinion, the first Pan Am movement of Native American people, when those people left there, people from Berkeley, the kids that went back home after that event, started developing programs and stuff at their tribes. Because they said, we can do things.
Yeah.
We don't have to depend on BIA or whatever. We can do it ourselves. We know what we need on a reservation and all this. We involve our culture when we do this, our ceremonies, our ancestors. They're all part of this development, and we're going to bring them back. So it started happening across different parts of the country at different reservations. And if you visit reservations today, you can see tribal colleges. Most of the tribes have their own tribal college now. For the people that were maybe not all the people, but people that were Alcatraz that came back and started looking into different programs to build different things. We got our own social service programs, our own tribal colleges that teach tribal language, tribal history, tribal culture, and nobody else is here. It's not taught in public school. So we learn about our own cultural history, our own Indian heroes that were in our tribe. And that all those events that occurred where people, the native programs started rise up and start doing their thing for their own culture, their own benefit. Was actually my opinion started out in Alcatraz. We came together to push our culture, our rights as Native people, because we didn't have very many that were recognized. We recognized them, nobody else did. And that came from that movement, expanded out. We have different programs today all over the country, different tribes doing their thing.